Hello everyone, welcome to Crafternoon with Mr. Ryan. I'm Mr. Ryan, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make doily crowns. Or perhaps you prefer doily tiara, or maybe even a doily nurse's cap. We're going to be making a little headpiece using doilies, and it's going to look really fancy. Perhaps you can think of yourself as like Princess Elsa, and this is your snow crown. So you're going to need a few key supplies for making this craft. You're going to need a piece of paper. You can use any color you like. You're going to need some doilies, and if you want, you're welcome to color these doilies beforehand. It's going to look really pretty if you color them. Some people even like to tie-dye the doilies, but today we're just going to be using white doilies for the sake of simplicity. You're going to need some tape, and you're going to need some scissors. And you're also going to need some glue. I have a glue stick. You can use either liquid glue or glue sticks. And lastly, you're going to need some wipes because your hands are probably going to get a little sticky, so you're going to want to sanitize at the end. But the first thing we do is we're going to make our headbands. So this is going to wrap around our head. So what I want you to do, I want you to take your piece of paper and fold it long ways. Right, fold it all the way to the bottom, and make sure to fold it nice and neatly so that the edges meet. And then I want you to take your paper and I want you to fold it again, long ways, like this. And we want to make, again, nice, neat segments of this paper. It's going to look like this, and then I want you to take your paper and I want you to fold it again long ways. We want a nice narrow band to go around our head. So it should be about this big. And then I want you to take your paper and just unfold the whole thing. And we're going to start cutting off strips. So I want you to get your scissors at this point and start cutting along these creases. It might be a little difficult to cut along the crease. Sometimes I recommend cutting like opposite the crease, so if the crease folds down, just cut with the scissors underneath the crease. Sometimes that helps. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit off, but you want these bands to be roughly the same size. So I have 1, 2, I'll cut out 3 strips of paper because I have a little bit of a big head. So I'm going to cut out 3 strips of paper, but you might just need 2 strips of paper. You probably don't need 1 piece of paper unless you have a really tiny head, but I'm going to cut out 3 pieces of paper for the band. And I want you to try and cut it nice and neatly down the crease. It's okay if it's a little off. And then the rest of this is perfect. This is what we're going to use to glue over. So this is going to be like a special paper that protects the table or whatever it is, whatever surface you're using, so that we don't glue on the surface, but we just get the glue on the paper. But now I want you to take your 3 strips or 2 strips, and I want you to take your tape and just tape them. Tape them at the end. Get a piece of tape, that's not a good piece of tape anymore. Take a piece of tape, stick it on the end, like that, and then stick that end to another end of another piece of paper. Oops. And I want you to stick both sides with paper. That just helps keep our band together. Right? So here we have our first 2 strips stuck together. Now let's get the 3rd strip. And stick all your strips together like this so you get a nice long single strip. Make sure to put tape on both sides to keep it nice and stuck together. And then I want you to take this real big strip we've just created, and I want you to wrap it around your head and get an approximate size for how big your head is. How big you think you want your hat, your crown. So I think this is a good size for my head. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch where the papers meet and I'm going to tape them down. And this is going to be good for exacting the size of your band so that it sits on your head nicely. So for this, I want you to just glue the 2 loose strips so that they don't stick out like this. Right? And just like that, we have a perfectly sized band that fits around our head. Very simple. The next part is making the crown itself. Now for this is actually pretty simple, but it's going to take some mess making, and that's okay. So what I want you to do is get your doilies and make sure there's only one doily at a time. These doilies are really tiny and they stick together. Bet you didn't know that was 2 doilies. It was 2 doilies. So get some doilies. Make sure you're just getting 1 doily each. All right, they'll surprise you. But I think this is just 1 doily. Oh, no, wait a second. Woo, it's 2 doilies. So I recommend using 3 doilies, but you can just use 1 doily if you like. What I want you to do is take your doily, just cover one side with glue, make sure to put it down on your piece of paper. That way you don't glue the table. Get your glue stick or your glue and just put one side, cover that side in glue. It doesn't need to be a lot of glue. Just try and get the whole surface of it covered in glue. It's going to be a little sticky. It might stick to the paper you were gluing it with. Take this and then get your band and just stick it on in the middle, right? And fold it up. Just fold it up and glue the 2 sides of it together, just like that. Now, like I said, it might stick to your hands a little bit because the glue goes through these holes here. So it might get a little sticky. And so you might need something like the glue stick. I recommend using the opposite end of the glue stick, the plastic end, to just stick these together because sometimes your fingers just won't do the trick. So now we've got our first doily on, right? And it might have some difficulty sticking on. It'll probably be real sticky, but that's okay. Right? So we've got our first doily. Now let's get our second doily. Put some glue on it, just like we did with our first. Right? Try and get the glue all over it without making too much of a mess. Get our doily. And then what I want you to do is take a look, and I want you to put it where that doily ends, right? So where they meet, so they're just touching at the very edge. It's like they're kissing. I want you to just put your second doily right next to that first one. And again, you might need something like a blunt object to help you stick the doily together so that it stays and it doesn't fall apart. I'm going to use the glue stick, but you could use anything you like. You could even use your hands if you don't mind getting a little sticky. But this definitely does take a little bit of practice. Right? So now we've got our 2 doilies, just like this, touching in the middle. And now what we want to do, we want to get our third doily, just like this. Again, put the glue on, not too much, not too little. Just make sure there's enough glue for it to stick. Again, we're using this for our glue, to glue on. And then what I want you to do is take that third doily and just stick it in the middle. of these two doilies. And this is going to give it a really nice effect. Try and get it as close to the middle as you can. And if you want, you could actually make this one go a little higher than the other two doilies. It's a little tricky, but if you want to make it go a little bit higher, it'll look really nice. It'll look more like a crown. Or alternatively, if you have two different size doilies, you can use the bigger doily, stick it in the middle. So now what I'm doing is I'm just pushing the doilies down, making sure they're really sticking. They won't come apart. And again, your crown's probably going to be a little sticky. It's best left to dry for a little while. But here it is. And I'll give you a little show. There it is, my tiara, my beautiful princess crown. All good to go. Now, your head might get a little sticky, a little bit of glue on your hair, but that's okay. Just leave it to dry, leave it for a few hours, and come back, and you'll have yourself a beautiful princess tiara with a very wonderful, intricate design to it. It looks excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining me today for Princess Tiaras with Mr. Ryan. I had a lot of fun playing with you guys. I had a lot of fun doing this art project. As always, feel free to check out my channel for more fun craft videos or more story time videos, or if you're interested in learning guitar, we do that as well. And remember to use the hand wipes, right, to help get your hands a little bit less sticky, because they'll probably be a little sticky from that last craft. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun with you. I'm Mr. Ryan. For more fun activities you can do from the comfort of your own home, please check out veronalibrary.org/children. Until next time, I'll be seeing you. Bye-bye.